You see, Ben, it's takes like this right here that make people not want to come over and vote Republican.
Endangerment scenario in which CPS needs to be called. If you're talking about like actual child starvation, the truth is it does not take that much money to feed a child. I know I have three of them. You should be feeding your child before you feed yourself.
Is little Ben correct here, or is little Ben sounding a little bit smug? What's up, guys? John Claymore here. And right now, Shapiro is kind of getting some flack online. Now, guys, if you're subscribed to this channel and if you've been subscribed to me for a while, then you will know that Shapiro is probably the only guy at the Daily Wire that I actually have an issue with. And it's normally over stuff like this. Now, really quick, I'm not going to wade into everything that he said because there's obviously a lot of things that he said that you probably think to yourself that me, John Claymore, would agree with. And you'd actually be 100% correct. However, there is this one thing, though, that I do have a serious problem with. Now, guys, I am showing you a graphic of exactly how much money the average income is for most American people in this country right now at this moment in time when they have multiple children, typically a family of four. That right there normally includes a mother and a father and two children. Okay? I'm also showing you a graphic, one online, of what Ben Shapiro's wealth is. Now, I'm going to roll this clip one more time, and then I want you guys to tell me exactly what you think, or at least just think in your mind exactly what the problem here is. If you want to leave it in the comment section, please do. I will be on the other side to explain the actual issue and why people are giving him a hard time, including his detractors on the right.
If government can protect kids from the sick radical left, shouldn't they also protect kids from hunger? Wouldn't it make sense to strengthen food stamps and have school lunch be free since some kids are in school lunch debt? Well, I mean, if you are a parent, school lunches are not going to solve the problem of child hunger at any serious level. If there is a problem of children actually starving, that is a child endangerment scenario in which CPS needs to be called. If you're talking about like actual child starvation, the truth is it does not take that much money to feed a child. I know I have three of them. You should be feeding your child before you feed yourself. It's
Do child protective services need to be called when child protective services need to actually be called? Yeah. Is school lunches going to fix everything? No, not really. Okay. Is childhood starvation a problem? Definitely. However, Ben, I pulled up your income for a reason. You see, I do agree 100% that the children do need to be taken care of first. If I have kids, obviously they need to eat first. However, feeding your kids over the course of a year, especially if you have a family of, say, three or four, or if you have three or four kids, that right there can be a problem for a lot of families, especially if those families don't get roughly $1 million a month. Just figure I'd throw that out there. You see, not everybody can afford that. Now, guys, there's one section, one little thing that I do want to discuss in this video that I did not discuss earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is, and then we're going to come back to this. We're going to be talking about this whole suburban model thing because people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire want the Republican Party to get back to that particular model. It's the same model that, quite frankly, lost Republicans in 2012, whereas the 2010 model focusing on the working class is what actually worked. And we'll be spending a good amount of time talking about that. Ben, $1,000 to cover your kids, or $1,000 to pay for your kids' food, and say like another $2,000 or $3,000, which by the way I already know you pay probably five digits on your kids' clothes alone. It's not that much to you, especially given the fact that you also have a wife that makes roughly 6 or 7 figures a year. You brag about her being a doctor all the time, so just figure I'd go ahead and throw that out there. Not every family has it that easy. Okay, now let me throw this out here. I am as conservative as you can get. I am as free market capitalist as you can get, okay? But I'm also very, very much a working class person, and I grew up to be a working class person, okay? I grew up in that much, much more blue collar atmosphere. My mother slaved all day. She still does, even at her age, cutting hair. My father drove trucks for a living. He worked a lot of retail. He also sold insurance for a very, very long time. My sister, on the other hand, she has not exactly had it completely easy as well. She's not made no gold millionaire amount of money either. And of course, I've got family members who work in trade, and of course, they don't make as much money that you do. What I mean by trades is obviously they do stuff like carpentry, pipe fitting, electrical, that type of good stuff there. Talking about aunts, uncles, all that stuff, auto mechanics that don't make the level of money that you think that most conservatives actually make. The fact of the matter is that most conservatives are good old-fashioned working class Joes that make anywhere between $35,000 to maybe even $100,000 a year if they're actually lucky. Also, depending on what state they live in, can also be a bit of a problem too. Ben, you live in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee as a much, let's just say that Tennessee is becoming a very, very booming state. Before that, you were in Florida. Okay, now I understand, and this is what's really funny about this, is that, Ben, you should understand this, because at one point in time, you lived in California. As a matter of fact, you were pretty much raised in California. You know that the cost of living in California is, oh, wait, that's right, I forget. Ben has always been rich. Ben has always grew up, has always been has been wealthy the vast majority of his life. So this type of take out of him should not surprise me, especially given the fact that there is a video of him when he was 9 years old playing Schindler's List. I find that very, very weird that that was on YouTube. Makes me almost wonder. Still, though, at the same time, and by the way, if I impersonate Ben, I can get a strike, because you can't impersonate somebody on YouTube unless it's like an official fan page, which I'm not a fan of Ben. Maybe a parody account, but then again, though, at the same time, with YouTube's constant community guideline changes, I could probably get a strike for that and maybe have my channel removed, even if I created Ben Shapiro parody account. Fact of the matter is this right here. We need to stop acting so smug. I mean, we really and truly need to stop, okay? There's this great, big, nice painting, and I'm showing you guys an image of it right now, of the Forgotten Man, where you have all these presidents, and Obama, Lyndon Johnson, you have everybody kind of stepping on the Constitution, and you have this guy sitting on a park bench. Now, it doesn't matter what that individual's political beliefs are. For all you know, he could be the most conservative Republican in the world. He could also be the very, very most liberal Democrat in the world. I understand that right now we're living in a divided country and we're living in a pretty tribal society. So it doesn't help when you have takes like this that are so freaking out of touch and so freaking unreal that they completely missed the mark. Like I said, everything you said there was fine, but the thing that people are taking away is the comment that you made about how it's cheap to feed children. It's cheap for you because $1,000 is basically just pissing a bucket to you, okay? $1,000 to my next door neighbor, dude, is not chump change, okay? That is like, I would say that that's probably half the month salary of one parent, okay? And that is not figuring it. It could possibly be 75%. You never know these cases. Now, guys, I'm not trying to simp for the poor or anything. I'm just telling you guys right now, not everybody makes the same amount of money that Ben Shapiro does. I mean, this is a very, very smug take. Like I said, if you had not said what you said at the very end, it would not come off as so smug. But the thing that I didn't get to that I'm going to get to now is this whole thing about the middle class. Now, let me throw this out here, and I'm not saying this to make fun of the middle class. I'm just kind of like just defending the working class a little bit more here. In 2008, the concern after the crash was the middle class. The middle class. That was the concern by the federal government. The middle class. I understand investors and stuff, but what about those people who were making a lot less than $250,000 a year? What about those people? Those people, by the way, typically tend to be the ones who have the most amount of kids. Those are typically tend to be the people who have and you know, if you have kids, that's how you kind of like produce in a society. That's like how you make a society much, much larger. It's how you ensure that that your race, the human race, will survive. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Okay. In 2012, the Obama administration ran on the whole, we need to build on a strong working class. Strong middle class. They completely forgot the working class. The Romney campaign, whom, by the way, Ben Shapiro still simps for Mitt Romney every chance he gets, they chose to counter this by saying that the middle class should not have to pay taxes or pay for this right here or pay for that there. What about the working class? Why do you think Donald Trump was so effective in 2016? Why do you think we called 2016 the Tea Party revenge? Well, you see, the Tea Party voters in 2010, you know, the people that Ben Shapiro hated, the MAGA crowd, those voters got tired of seeing their tax dollars go to pay for stupid shit like Obamacare. So they came out in droves. They voted Republican up and down the ballot. Of course, Ben Shapiro called these people alt-right, which I thought was kind of funny because the vast majority of them really and truly just don't really care about social issues, at least until they get into their home. They care mostly about their paycheck and being able to feed their kids and being able to get through the next day, and they didn't want to see their tax dollars go to pay off stupid shit, you know, endless wars. They didn't want to see the national security defense apparatus get so bloated and so big, which, by the way, was actually much, much more efficient. If you could cut the cost of everything, you could actually cut the overall amount of money that you spend and make it much, much more efficient. The fact of the matter is this right here. The Tea Party voters came out and they voted in droves over issues like that. But in 2012, we ended up with a very, very out-of-touch guy running. Of course, the difference between Romney and Trump was at least Trump went to the actual people and spoke to them. Ben Shapiro, obviously, he hated him for that. He didn't even vote that year and basically said that he would ruin conservatism, when in reality, Trump has actually made conservatism a lot better. You see, you're not thinking about that coal miner in West Virginia. You're not thinking about the coal miner in western Pennsylvania. You're not thinking about the retired steel worker who lost his job or was forced into retirement because people like Bush sent our jobs overseas. You're not thinking about the auto worker in Michigan. You're not thinking about that person that only makes between $35,000 to $75,000 a year, but yet they got to take care of 2 or 3 kids. This was a very, very, very smug take. And I'm glad that the Republican Party shifted their messaging to a working class voter base, because when you focus on suburban voters, who, by the way, don't make up that much of your party, you eventually lose, and then we get stuck with more and more liberals. We get stuck with more and more Democrats. Ben, you're great on social issues, man, but you always come off sounding like a smug SOB. This right here is one of the main reasons why I can't get over the fact that it's one of the main reasons why I've never really liked you. Also, not to mention the fact that when you grow a beard on that very, very beta-looking face of yours and try to make yourself look more manly when your squeaky voice definitely gives away the fact that you are a beta cuck, yeah, you kind of lose people. The fact of the matter is that these are the same people who are trying to go back to the suburban model, and it's not going to work. You see, Ben, it's takes like this right here that make people not want to come over and vote Republican. While I do agree that the middle class is definitely important, let us also not forget that the vast majority of this country, the vast majority of your own voter base, struggles to make ends meet, and they struggle to feed their kids. And by the way, they do go out of their way to feed their kids first. Fact of the matter is that this right here was a pretty smug take, and once again, Ben Shapiro is kind of letting you know that he does not exactly care about the working class. Make sure you guys choose wisely here in the future. Now, very, very quick on entitlements. I didn't really tell you guys how I really truly felt, and I'll probably do a bigger video on this. He was talking about food stamps earlier. Now, in the 1990s, we had a work requirement that went into the ability to draw food stamps, the ability to draw welfare. I think we need to be bringing that back, okay? Welfare was designed to be a hand up, not a hand out. You got a lot of people who abuse the system. White, black, Hispanic, all races. It's not just 2 races, okay? I know a lot of people love to use that argument, but obviously a lot of white people collect it too, as well as people of other races as well. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. It can be abused by just about anybody and everybody. This is one of the main reasons why I do believe in a work requirement that should go into welfare and food stamps. I just figured I would throw that out there. I'll probably be doing a bigger video in the future on entitlements. Now, guys, with that right there being said, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.